You have a state guy, right? You got a state guy coming in?
He couldn't make it. Mason couldn't make, he's on vacation till the 17th. So I did get an email from him and we can like reschedule him to come in at some other, maybe another meeting.
So why don't you just present?
Yeah, and I will, yep, and that's the plan. Yeah.
Who couldn't make it?
Mason Simmons.
That's the regard to the guardrail.
Just saying, maybe.
Oh.
Approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Oh,
Move and seconded, are there any additions? Seeing none, all in favor, anything aye? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Agenda items from the public. Yes, we have no public, right? Discussion curb on Green Valley Road near County Highway GG.
We got one before that, Dave. The green light number 4.
Oh, I'm sorry. Discussion green light.
So just a little update. In the past on our plow trucks, we've had just our amber lights on there. There's new legislature that was passed now for the fluorescent green to be added. And it's only for municipal vehicles. We're seeing a lot of private people running those, which they're illegal for them to run. So what it's going to do is when you see those green lights, it's proven that they're highly more visible than the amber. So with the amber and the yellow lights now, that will be added. So it'll signify that that's a state, on a state system or a county system, removing snow. So not your typical somebody out plowing their driveway or, landscapers using that. So it's going to be strictly for municipal vehicles. Any of our new, they're expensive to retrofit. So right now, the way it's going is any new vehicles coming in will have the green lights added to them as they come in. So then our fleet will start using those. If the price starts to, comes down on those or, maybe we will look at retrofitting the rest of our fleet. But right now we're just going to keep the new ones that come in. We'll just keep adding these to those. So.
Skater County roads, like Skater County vehicles, right?
Correct.
what city? Is that the city also?
It says municipal, so I'm assuming city and any municipal with that. It's just what they want to do is exclude like the landscapers, the private companies that where you see those out there that, hey, you see those green lights that they're plowing snow on the roadways. So I think I added, there's some pictures from those vehicles that were in there kind of show, with those. We haven't looked at per vehicle to do it, but individually the lights have been expensive. So the whole thing is now is that they're brand new coming out. So, if the prices come down a little bit, at first they were saying it was just a light bulb you could replace. Now it's a whole unit you pop in and out. So we'll start once we start getting some costs with those. We can find that out. So. No debt.
Everything we got is grandfather, correct?
Yeah, I mean, these are, like I said, this isn't that you have to put these on there. It's just to improve the safety and visibility. So they've done some studies and the green lights are just more visible than the normal amber. So
what you're saying is they're optional of our revenue.
Right. Yep. So yeah.
We're fine. On Green Valley Road. Highway GG.
With your permission, Mr. Chairman, I have some handouts that I put together. Pass them out, guys. I did 6 of them. Bob, pretty much the same format you have, except mine's a little bigger.
Oh, okay.
A little more detail perhaps, would it be? Might go through this, the first page. Oh, hearing aids here, so bear with. I got a little loud. The first page pretty much details the accident report from the sheriff's department. It was a lot of vehicle accidents, 6 of them, and the last accident, a person was killed. That's what that details. The second page is all the deeds that Winnebago County needs to have. And I have it on there to clearly demonstrate. The area we're going to be discussing is under jurisdiction of Winnebago County. And then of course the last is a little bit bigger map than what Bob had. And if you look at the map, I'll try to detail this. I maybe should have. This right here is County Trunk GG, of course. And then you have Green Valley Road, and then you have the sharp curve right here. Everybody see that? That comes up an embankment that is approximately, it goes from a grade of like maybe 4 or 5 feet up to probably about 20 feet at the highest point. The vehicles are coming off the road right in this. Can you see the spot right in this location here? And they're going on to this private property. That private property is a horse stable. They probably have like 50 horses in there, and all of this land in here is pasture. It's all fenced for the horses, of course. Now, every time a car runs off there, this property owner has to repair his fence. Which is obviously something he's doing based on the vehicle reports once or twice a year. According to the Billund Fire Department, there's actually more cars going off that road than are being reported to law enforcement. Once again, breaking guy's fences. Of particular note is the last accident. That vehicle went off of here at a high rate of speed, rolled over 2 or 3 times, busted the glass, of course. You have antifreeze, you have oil, transmission fluid, all on this area of the pasture. So that topsoil has to be removed, replaced with new topsoil, and then seeded down so you can utilize the pasture for the horses. So I think this certainly demonstrates the need for Winnebago County to establish a guardrail of some type to prevent those vehicles from coming onto that private property. In addition to that, you have the safety issue of the vehicles and the passengers themselves. Now, I appreciate DOT. Let me go back in history a little bit. There used to be a guardrail there for many years when I was a younger guy, much younger. Then when the state bought all this.
It wasn't that long ago. I got a picture from Google.
Oh, really? What's the year? Did they give the year?
I don't know. But
Oh, yeah. Well, I know it was probably up there until they did the put in the new overpass, and I think that's when they took it out. And then they bought all this additional property. And then they don't replace it because apparently they don't meet new standards or qualifications. My question to the committee, and I appreciate the DOT's point of view, but the question is, shouldn't Winnebago County recognize the safety issues and the property that's being, obviously private property, that's being diminished, and just take it upon ourselves to do it ourselves? I mean, is there any reason why we can't do
I think there's a simpler solution.
that? Okay.
And I'm not against the guardrail. I think it would be great. But right now, there is no signs.
there's a place like this in, Lebanon, town of Lebanon, Wapaka County, where you can't see, you're driving down the road and you can't see where the road is. It's really freaky. And especially at night, that's what this is. You can't see.
It comes
You-
up on you real sudden. if
You
you're
can't
not
see.
familiar.
I mean, there's no signs. I think if we put arrows showing a curve,
That might help. The last commissioner did put up plastic white. They were kind of like mini fence posts, a whole bunch of. And they
They're not
put
there.
those up. But of course, by spring, they were all gone. Pretty much destroyed by the snowplow.
oh, the guardrail.
So I might ask the highway commissioner, factoring in the recommendation, and that's the term I'll use. Do we have the option to put a guardrail in there under our jurisdiction?
Well, I'll get to that part. Well, I mean, one thing is that I'd like to kind of go in, discuss this whole thing is.
Sure. I appreciate it.
So we did discuss,
Do we have?
I mean, if we owned it, if it was ours, okay, and that's where I differ with that is that little sliver is DOT. I mean, we own, if you go down 41, we own, Winnebago County owns almost all of I-41. So if you want to take, why are we not plowing I-41?
Well, would you please answer my original question?
If it was county property on a county system, yes.
Okay, so we need. to
With
determine-
proper engineering,
So we need to determine, you question whether we are.
correct.
So that needs to be answered, correct? Correct. First thing that needs to be done is answer that question. Probably a primary question. Sure. Okay. Well, then, with the chairman's permission, I guess. The explanation as to why we don't own it is.
I had some, to your things, I was in the total record business my whole life. We picked up cars in fields with those glass spread all over, you picked it up the best you could. Nobody ever did anything extra to do anything about it. I don't know why it's so special right now.
Horse, it's a horse pasture.
Horse pasture, there's all different kinds of problems, but you cleaned it up the best you could, and that was it. And then if somebody wanted it cleaned up better, the local fire departments went out there. I can remember we used to drive in Oshkosh fire truck. We'd have to go back to some clean scene, clean up some of us. It's just my opinion.
Well, I appreciate that, but I think, the owners of the property, and their name is Grunska, feel that because they have a liability, it's a stable. So, in other words, people rent a stall within that stable and the horses are pastured as part of their obligation. So I think they have a liability to the people that actually rent the stable and the care of their horses. Obviously, you wouldn't want a horse out there that picked up something and adjusted something and got sick and died. That'd be quite a.
I think the first thing you should do, like Ron said, you should put out some curb signs and some other stuff. You go to hold on. I don't know.
it might just take care of the problem. I drove through there and I got a video if you want to see it. There's, you know, you can't see that there's a curve. Unless.
Yeah, I think there's one night arrow. Yeah, there's a yellow.
From
arrow.
one direction.
Yeah, coming up the village.
Yeah, going the other way, there's nothing.
Yeah, I don't know if they're, I mean, one thing is you could put chevrons. Chevrons are just the sharp to mark that. I know, yeah, you did mention there was little route markers that were put in there with the reflectors, you know. Yeah. But I mean, one thing was, so we discussed this accident at our traffic safety meeting. One thing was is to remember is with this situation with the fatality, there was an altercation at a business establishment down the road, alcohol related. The two were side by side racing to negotiate this curve. Okay.
Was this accident where you were
Yes.
killed?
Yes. Yep. So the one car was going so fast. I mean, there was no braking or anything. They just went off of this at a high rate of speed. The other car didn't maneuver the curve, stopped, called 911 with this. So, you know, this case, I mean, there's a lot of factors to this. One thing to look at is like, you know, Mason Simmons had a email that, you know, kind of described that with this project, the reason the guard belt was taken out is that they flattened the slopes of the ramps and eliminating the need for the guard beam. So that means that a vehicle should be able to traverse that slope without the need of guard belt. And, you know, one thing he puts in here too is that, you know, guard belt as itself is a hazard being out there. So like this case, you know, this car could have hit the guard belt and reflected it back across the and into that other car. There's ramifications all with this guard belt. And that's why it's, you know, to take it out of there, that was the premise of why they took it out of there, is they saw if it flatten that slope out, that if they go off, they can just drive off of those. Right. So if you look at like any of those, the accidents you have on there, or how many there were, you know, 5, there's no damage, you know, but if you had guard belt there, there'd probably be a high damage done to vehicles. These were probably most likely just slid off and towed out. But if you had guard belt there, now you're in, you know, causing more damage with that to the vehicle. And that's why like the DOT, when they look at this, is that's why it was determined. I mean, when they, way back when this wasn't at a 90-degree curve or a intersection, a T intersection. So that's why it was reconstructed to bring that out, to bring it into County Road GG to a 90-degree. So that was the safest way. When you come in at a skew, I mean, any of the roads, I think Grunman out on A, if you look at that, how it came in at a skew, they did the same thing as this. They bumped that out to come in at a 90-degree. That's the safest way to come into an intersection. So that's why the upgrade was done out there. And so when you look at like, when these projects come up, the state, even though this is in Winnebago County's name, any project that's on the state, we can go around the state or the county here. There's parcels all over that are Winnebago County, all over. But that's how the state has done their business with this, is when they purchase that, it just goes into the county's name. That's why we're doing a lot of these, you know, quick claim deeds back to the adjacent property owners, like that. I mean, so that little sliver in there is DOT's property. Then it's Winnebago County. That big piece here is Winnebago County. That state. Now you look at down here in this corner, all of I-41, that whole quadrant is Winnebago County's. If you keep going down I-41 corridor, Winnebago County owns almost all of I-41. So my thought is when we do this, that if the county puts guard belt on a town property, town jurisdiction, because I looked under Whistler too, they receive funding for this. So they are getting
We receive it all.
so that's how they do it to the intersection. That's how they're typically all done, mileage is done. So one thing is that if we do this, technically then we should be plowing I-41. We should be there's a lot of townships that potentially could use this. I just think we're opening ourselves up that we're going to be putting this in. We're setting the precedence that we're going to put this on any town road with this. And like I said, I mean, we can get deeper into the ownership of this and why it's done through the state. You know, that's why I was hoping Mason would come here, but he's on vacation the 10th through the 17th, so he couldn't be here, but he could explain
Very much.
yeah, I mean, it's basically, that's what he's gonna be, but it would be better to hear from them why they put it in Winnebago County's name. I'm sure there's a reasoning when they put it in there, that it's, you know, whether it's up to us to, you know, jurisdictional transfers or quitclaim deeds or how we proceed with that. But like I said, I mean, a lot of these, I mean, you know, like on 41 here, I mean, Old Dixie, then the whole thing of Old Dixie's in Winnebago County's name. Why is the town, we should be paying to plow that then? We should be doing all the maintenance, paving it. But I think if we dive into this, we're gonna be putting ourselves in. I mean, we gotta realize that there's a lot of road out here that the townships are gonna receive the funding for, but we're gonna fund it. So
I'll take a look. Genesis, initial stage. It comes from needed. I mean, obviously the town is not going to assume responsibility for putting up that garden. I think, if I speak for the town of the municipality, they recognize the need. They've stated so publicly at a meeting, specifically the fire.
but we can publicly let people know too, is that if we put guard belt out there and a motorcycle hits it, fatality, then it gets put on, but then it gets put on the count who installed it.
Based on what you said, what the DOT said is saying is if a vehicle hits the guardrail, there's more damage to the vehicle.
And to push them back across the center of the road in oncoming
However,
traffic.
they negate the responsibility of the damage to private property and a business. So in other words, the insurance companies are saying, look, it costs us more to repair the damn vehicle than it does to take care of the private property. Is that what we're seeing, a trade-off in legal?
I mean, I would guess,
Responsibility here?
I mean, I don't know what their claims are. I don't know what they're,
Why do we have them on the bridge on Highway 41?
because it's engineered to, because they have to have it.
I complained to the previous commissioner about upon going on the Algoma Boulevard. Up on the top, there's a curve there, and as you hit that curve, somebody's gonna go down into that pond. And his answer back to me from the state was, the state said the speed limit on that curve is X number of miles, and there's no reason that anybody should miss that. They didn't care if you were drunk or if you were speeding or what, but the speed limit was such and such that you would automatically make that curve. They never did nothing about it, but I personally saw different cars have hit before the cement embankment where it goes over 41. I've seen them hit that post there, you know. Right. I'm just saying that the state said, no, the speed limit for that is such and such, and nobody would do it.
I simply suggest that you can get into all these little technical issues. From a common sense, logical point of view, would it not be in everybody's interest, from a safety point of view, from a private property point of view, to establish a guard?
I personally, it would be more dangerous to put it in there.
We're missing the point that this is a dangerous curve. I mean, we got all kinds of data to back it up. We gotta figure out how to fix that. And if you go and drive it, you can see that it's, especially at night, if you go down there at night, you know, you have to go slow to pick your way, because it's, you know, you can't see anything beyond, because it's going up a hill.
I mean, then
If we put
Reconstruct.
signs on there both ways, I think we should at least do that for now to see if it takes care of the problem. But there, you can't see where the road is. If you're going up the hill, your headlights are on the road. You know, they're going up shining up in the air.
okay, I mean, what I mean, one thing is we have to remember is that you just can't go put anything out there. It has to meet MUTCD standards. So
This is a trap. We set a trap.
manual for uniform traffic control devices. So everything we do follows that procedure, center lining, pavement markings, sign locations, how many feet from intersections, all this has to be that. I mean, we can go just, I mean, whatever, if you want to put those out there, tell me what you want, where you want them. Like I said, but we just got to be careful because if we put something out there that is not supposed to be there, then there's this liability part comes in.
Let's put signs or arrows that are compliant.
Making the direction of where they should be put. One should be here, one should be there under your supervision.
Well, I think what we should do is, I mean, if there's issues with the construction of this, I think we need to look deeper into this. Then if it's a dangerous intersection, I think we reconstruct this, but I don't, like I said, it's not a county facility. So this is something new. I mean, you're committed, have you reconstructed town roads before? I guess this is new to me.
Well, we identified, been on all kinds of issues. We never had the damn money to do it.
I mean, I'm just telling you now, I mean, my budget, I don't have the budget to do this. So this is where you're gonna have to come in here to.
We can address financing. Separately.
I think that if we go with signage, I think this will help some. I agree with Chuck wholeheartedly. Why it was ever taken out, I don't know. If it isn't our land, you can't go ahead and do something that's not on your land. But why can't you get some of them flashing lights that go on and off and it's works with sundial or the sun?
Oh,
we
put
got
it on the curb. Oh, what?
We got that.
Excellent.
We got that where we
Oh.
had them accidents down in the river.
But, and, yep,
Excellent.
like I said, this is not a county jurisdiction road. So the highway county is gonna put this on a town road. So really, if we do this, then we should have paid for yours. We should pay, so this, I mean, this is where it gets in, where we get in muddy waters with this.
We send it back to the town and say, hey, you think we need signs here?
Well, I mean, it's a town jurisdiction road. Like I said, if we start reconstructing or rebuilding town roads, I think there's gonna be a lot of townships that are gonna come and say, hey, we have a lot of places that we could use reconstruction. Like I said, I'm not disputing what it says on GIS, but it's a town, Green Valley Road. If this was a county road, it should have jurisdiction. It should be under our ordinance stating Green Valley Road is a county jurisdiction road.
I hate to say it, this has worked out really good, but we waited until some people were killed on there and we done it.
Right.
Wait until people are killed and then.
We already did.
Well, great. These were young kids.
Tom, who paid for your?
We did. We got it through, I think we ordered it through you guys, but then we paid for it. You're gonna ask me how much expensive, 1,500, something like that, 2,000? Yeah.
I mean, the one thing is there's,
That's why I had to sell my land down there because it was so expensive, the taxes went up so high.
I know, that paid for them signs.
I don't know. Perhaps if we get this. Municipal funding issue, they might be able to run by. I can tell you right now, the way the town of Vilna, of course, has a new government structure, right? So they spent most of their money, which I believe is about 200,000 a year, on one road. And actually, during the month of December, they were scrambling to figure out how they would pay for the So it's nice to say that, but from a perception of if we all recognize it needs to be done, we don't agree on who owns the property. That's going to be the first thing town government raises. Then the question is, well, why should we pay for it? You should pay for it. And their bottom line is nothing will get done. And that's kind of where we are.
I noticed on here, Chuck, the Grunskys, I know have that out there, but I noticed they gave a lot of this land back to Grunskys, or the names on here, and they gave it to state.
Well, they sold it now. I don't know if that was an eminent domain issue or not. I don't probably was. was, but I think that was her parents,
It was.
yeah. Yeah. And they sold it, so obviously, you know, that was all part of the new construction, the purchase of property and everything, so. I suggest, gentlemen, and the county board and we as supervisors. Have properties affected, lives could be affected, something needs to be done. So I suggest rather than the committee director, as the highway commissioner, recognize the issue and see what we do.
Well, I mean, I think if you wanted action on the next highway, I think it's make you, I mean, do you want me to hire a firm to do a safety analysis of the intersection, to have their safety recommendations, what should be done with it, rather than, I'd rather have a professional than just for me to go out there and say, hey, this is what we're gonna put out there. I think we should have if we're gonna do this, I think you make an action at the next meeting, vote on it, how you wanna.
If the state did this, they should be the ones that go out there and figure out the problem.
But they follow all safety regulations for this in. So they're gonna tell you that it was done.
I don't think they did.
Right, and that's where we have to come back and say is, okay, the state was negligent with this, so we're gonna make an action to hire a firm to dispute this, and then at that point, then whatever, if we sue the
I think
state.
we could do like Don and Tom suggest, put up a flashing light right there.
At our school.
Oh, yeah. What's a human life worth, you know?
Yeah, right.
You're-
Well said.
People
I
that
couldn't
drive it.
hit it right on the head.
Horse pasture, we have horses and we've had cars out in ours and everything else, and right across the road, they've had lots of signs broke off already and that, but since that one down there that we've had on River Road, never been taken or broken or anything yet. We've had some on some other roads that have, but that one there we haven't, and we haven't had any lives taken. Whatsoever, needs to quite a few, so.
So you want an agenda item?
So yeah, I mean, I don't have where do I get the money? We have to go for a transfer to get the money for this.
We'll do a transfer, but you know, if you don't have the money, you get into the question, how much did you give back here this last month? So, that kind of question. In other words,
Tell me what you want.
Find it in your budget somewhere. So.
Easy to, but
But I would say you'd have to look at see distance and all this, and just put it right where it's gonna be. You're gonna have to put it back a ways.
right, and that's what I mean is that we need safety engineers to design this. So it's gonna,
Engineers, we didn't get an engineer. I think you guys come out and said, well, this would be the best spot. And it's been good, so this engineer stuff, this is what kills us all the time, the whole county. You turn around, you gotta have an engineer, $10,000.
but like I said, though, if you don't follow MUTCD standards and you put something out there that does not follow that, so what the MUTCD is that if you travel in city of Oshkosh to Winnebago County, to Illinois, to California, they're all uniform. They're all the same. So it's not like you get to a different state or different community that something's different. So like I said, if we put something in there that is not merited in there, then that's where we want to make sure that it's done right and if something's installed where it can be.
One of the guys from the state just come out and just look at that and say, we've had some complaints about it, we don't know if it's right. But we're willing to help with somewhat of it. Would you come out?
I mean, I can try to get Mason to come out and I guess, I mean, I'd rather have Mason. Yeah. I mean, he's a traffic safety engineer, so that's what these guys do. Anything safety
That's
related.
where there's no markings there. So people and it's on a hill. You know, it's a trap. Why did they build us a trap and just let it go? They should go and see what the problem is and fix it. So why there's no markings? Yeah, why no markings?
Can you come next month?
I can ask them. Well, I think you should get out there next week.
Well, that, but I mean, then so you talk to us and And Dave can put on his agenda that, discussion on possible action, discussion on action or whatever. After his presentation or whatever. Yeah, I agree with you. Out there as soon as possible.
Is this one of your school buses?
Oh, yeah. Publish that. Where, which page? The big page?
So the action you want to, so the county to install flashing lights or flashing arrow signs or.
We had flashing lights out there. Going River Road there, and then
Whoever's on river.
Yeah, duplicate.
but I think
That's
it's
all from private, just so. I don't know where, how to fund it, but I guess we'll try to find something how to.
I might take a minute to think, the person that put this all together for me, and she works at the county. Is she part of BIS or?
You got the.
No, what's her, I can't think of her name. I'll help you. So the lady that works down from, zoning secretary, next office over. I think of Donna, that ain't it right
next
there.
office over. That's Mary Ann. Next office over, not Laura.
No.
I mean,
Number 6.
I
Discussion.
apologize. She does.
With that, so I just want one quick thing, so. To install it and then we're gonna provide all maintenance or two, right? Just so we have MOU that we can. That we will respond, all responsibility will be county, Winnebago County.
I was gonna say, if you do that, I agree with what you said, Bob, you're gonna open up a can of worms. Because if we have one over on ours, I'm gonna.
Right, cause I mean, we have to notify the townships with that.
You're being
with this and-
difficult now. And like it works for them, why wouldn't it work?
Yeah.
We have similar interest, we have similar cases, I mean, like,
They come up as they come.
but that's how we have to set precedents, how we're gonna address that is in the future. I mean, do we come to,
There.
does it come to highway committee or does it go to traffic safety? First and then,
Well. Yeah, we keep money.
The format and go to traffic safety.
I don't think we keep muddying the water. We paid for our own, and I'm not saying they should. I'm just saying we paid for our own. I'm just saying you're opening this one up, what's gonna happen with the next one? So there's two ways to look at this. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I think that flashing lights really work well for us.
Well, if they're in the green, well, maybe we should do it if they're not. We've got the greens.
You guys what, paid for it? How did that come about?
well, we can't put it in state property.
Oh, yeah, you can't put it
We'll
on,
put it in state.
that's on the bottom.
We're gonna have to, I mean, we're gonna have to put it in the right of way, which is not safe. So, I mean, that's the thing is we can't put it on state property.
Yeah, you wouldn't want.
So we're gonna have to put it out into the right of way for installation. I mean, they own almost all the way to Wooden Shoe.
Probably gonna want it just past the intersection of Wood. Right. You might wanna run out and take a look at it. That little sliver, I don't know why the state even kept that. I don't know why they still own it, unless there's a drainage issue and you might wanna put a ditch through there. But other than that, I don't know why the state even had.
I mean, we.
I think it's a slope.
The slivers all over town.
Yeah, it's slivers shoot back. I don't know why either. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate your thoughts, comments here, support. Hopefully we can get some of these on.
Are we going to have that gentleman come in next month? If you're gonna go out with them or go out and look at those?
Well, we'll have him come in and explain what we can here, but we'll put it on as an action that to vote on. So you'll vote on, the committee will vote on the installation and for that.
Discussion, speed limit requests on county roads.
So the speed limit, so one thing
I
that,
think that might have, it's just back to the Python issue.
this is just in general, just in general. So I guess first question I have is that how has the committee handled these requests in the past. I mean, do these, because typically they're supposed to go to traffic safety committee. Traffic safety committee makes the formal request, then it goes to the highway department. That's how it should go. I don't know if that's how you've done it in the past. Okay, so I've talked to other counties like Fond du Lac County. They have a formal request. So, I mean, right now we're getting requests from just anybody that drives down the road. Okay, so what I've heard from other counties is that, you know, to take a request from somebody that does not live in that county or anywhere near that, they didn't want to go that route. So they made their policy is that it has to go through the local municipality. So whether it's that township, then they make a formal request to the highway committee. Correct.
Which are you're elected.
Correct. So then once that request comes to the committee, then that's where, you know, speed study would get done and like that. So like I said, I mean, I've been on the traffic safety committee for over 15 years, and I've never seen one of these come to the committee. And last committee I asked, and they were all.
But there's nobody elected on there.
That no, because there's a criteria that has to be met. It has to have law enforcement.
I understand that, but to refer to that body who's non-elected, the constituents have no recourse to their elected officials. So I think it should come to this committee. I
guess rather have a procedure in place that when these come up, that we follow it every time.
Well, we had them come before this committee all the time, but it was truckers that came here.
Yeah, the committee could refer to traffic safety for a disposition, correct?
I mean, I guess the whole thing, what it comes down to is that, right, it could go to traffic safety, and if they deem that there's a safety issue there, their recommendation, it goes back to the highway committee for further investigation.
But if they say no, they don't come back here.
Right. I mean, if
So
let's just say somebody comes in, I mean, because right now I'm getting requests to raise speed limits on county roads to 65 miles an hour. Okay. I don't think that's where we want to go. I don't think that's even a legal. Right. But that's what I mean is, are we going to entertain, like when requests come like that? I don't think there's any reason to entertain that because it can't happen. But when there's requests to lower it, raise it, we have to have a procedure with this, is because, like I said, a lot of counties go to it goes to the traffic safety committee. So like I said, how we've done it in the past, I just assume if we stay on that, how we did in the past, or
I think it's fair comment.
okay. And then
The request to lower speed limit with the past county executive and just.
If you're gonna do it that way, then I think it's.
Yeah, absolutely.
and then
Where's those days that will be here directing us?
so what about speed studies? So the highway department did buy a few years back, bought a counter. It's a tube counter. You can't use them in the winter. Very limited when you can put these out, when you can use them. I've personally put them out. The tube counters they have to be so many inches apart and count axles, and you have to have both directions. One thing is depending on weather, they stretch, they expand, they contract. You go out there in the morning, they're flopping all over the place. You tighten them up. The last commissioner. So one thing is that we get a look is, I mean, with trailer mounted units, they tend to skew the traffic. They tend to slow down with the trick because it's visible. So one thing is that you want something that's not visible to the public, so you get accurate speed counts with these. The one we have right now, like I said, you can't use it during the winter. We're only limited to summer with these. So I think one thing is that we should look at is if we're gonna do this, you know, obviously we could go out and pay someone to do them, or we purchase a counter that we can do these in-house. Cause like right now, we can't go do this with the weather. If it snows, you can't, there's no way.
But is it a law that we do 80% of what the people, 85 or whatever it is?
Well, that's the general rule of thumb, the 85th percentile.
Well, it's not a law.
Well, I mean, I can get the law, I guess I could get the state statutes, how it's done. But typically that is what they follow, the 85th percentile.
That really never made sense to me because people are driving because of what the speed limit sign says. Either they go the speed limit, or they go 5 over, or they go 500, whatever it is. That's what tells them how fast to drive, the speed limit sign.
I mean, if the road's not posted, it's assumed 55. That's just standard across wherever you go. You know, rustic roads, there's specific speeds that rustic roads can only be posted at. So I mean, but I think to do this, I think that's what you need to follow some criteria that it's the same consistent.
But you know, let the drivers decide. So
That's what it says.
You know, if it says it's 55, well, they're gonna be driving 55. It just never made any sense to me.
I guess then it's up, I mean, how do you want to handle it?
Do you think you have to really go out and check speeds any more than in the summer or spring or summer or whatever? You think you're really gonna run that fast?
Well, the thing for the winter, it's still because of the plows, the snow. We can't plow over the tubes.
Why would we even need to, thinking about purchasing one, why even bother with the one?
Well, because then we could do them in the winter and we could do them. Well.
I remember that.
I can wait a few months.
If I might offer town government, roads under town jurisdiction. As I recall, we can lower the speed limit 10 miles an hour, 55 to 45 by town board action. We don't need no spec.
Tonanina just looked at that.
Well, here's how it works. If the members of town board think, well, that really ain't justified, they use the speed study to not do it. But legally, technically, under the law, I believe they can lower it.
Right, 10 miles an hour is
And
that's it.
anything below that, then you. So I'll just give you a little insight as possible. Okay, so Winnebago, town of Winnebago.
It was G and now.
55 miles. You get more residential in there and all that stuff, but then the municipality said we need that speed limit lowered. And because it's a county road, that's our jurisdiction. Now, I think the highway commissioner would always there to decide the speed study before you make that. There's more.
Bob, you have to broaden your horizons compared to the other commissioners we had. You never roll the car over, you don't hang on the strip.
Well, I mean, I guess for me, I would, if we're gonna like.
Call me and say, oh, Rick,
I mean, for me, I would rather have that we have how we're gonna procedure that, how we're gonna follow to do this, that we just don't we treat Winnebago different than Omro and Omro different than Rushford. I think we have to have a procedure when if we get a request for this, is that, hey, my dog plays in the middle of the highway, it's dangerous. Okay, what do we base that? Well, their dog plays out there, it doesn't stay in the yard, so we're basing it upon that. What are we basing it upon? I guess that's what I'd like to have there. If we do this, this is what we're basing this on. If we're gonna eliminate 85th percentile, then what are we gonna base this on? So that we can come in there and say, okay, this is what we're basing this on. Right, but if we're not, like Don says, if we want to go away from the 85th percentile, then how are we going to do this? What are we going to base this on? Because we have to have a standard
Come up with
of what we're going to.
Right.
Well, mine would be the speed study in the 85th percentile, but whether the committee, well, I mean, that would be my recommendation. We stick with the 85th percentile and we follow the speed study is what they.
I'm still confused. I mean, this being that first year, I don't know what happened in the past, but this can't be the first time somebody.
Right.
Right? I mean, you've got a lot of that's all the stuff. That's it.
Yeah, they've been coming in steady, yeah. But I'm getting them to lower and increase.
So what was the last one we changed, or what happened on the last one we did?
I have not changed one since I've been. That's why I asked how in the past we've done it. So that we can follow that same.
I think in those 15 years, you really never came across. Or not.
Well, you've been.
Well, I mean,
involved in them.
I've been here for 30 years. Did I personally partake in this? Absolutely not. We were not involved with that. That was,
all of a sudden now have a bunch for, now you're trying to figure out the procedure, because the ones in the past that really didn't deal with.
yeah, we don't have any documentation of anything, how it was handled or with that. So that's why I was saying is that, I've reached out to other counties and, and asked how they did it, just to kind of see. So like I said, I'm not sure how the committee has handled it in the past. Everything used to go to traffic safety. Just, anybody I talked to, that's the way they did it. But I've never seen one come through the traffic safety as long as I've been on that
They
committee.
never make it that far. Somebody looks at that.
I don't think I ever remember anybody from the public coming to traffic safety committee.
I think that the 81st percentile is irrelevant because they were driving with whatever the signs.
Can you clarify the 85th percentile terminology?
Like you say, the sign says 55 and they take the percentage of the average speed, right?
It's based upon every single car that comes by what their speed is. So, if you look at a speed study, there's anywhere to 82 miles an hour on this one. And then there's some that are as low as 6 miles an hour, which probably is a tractor. So, what happens is those low speeds get kicked out and those high ones get kicked out. Whatever 85% of the speeds that they're traveling, that's what's recommended.
Well, that could be a higher speed.
It could come in. If it's posted 45 miles an hour and it comes in that 85 to 90% is doing 55, then that's what, it's based upon what they feel comfortable traveling at the speed.
So what I think is more important than the 85th percentile is the amount of traffic and how many entrances, how many people are coming on in that space. Those are factors that are way more important than, how fast the people are traveling. Because they're gonna travel whether they normally travel at the speed limit or 5 over or 10 over or 500.
Right. But you have to understand too, is that's how our access policy is too, based upon speeds. So, when you have more concentration of accesses, the speed limits are typically lower. So like on CB, it's 1,000 foot per access or in between access points because that's made to move vehicles. So kind of like the same with the county system. I mean, we want to move cars, but you know, we keep lowering the speed limits. I mean, and then it you know, it plays back on our access policy too. So, I mean, but
Been talking about this all day, but as of right now, I think if we just brought back to the committee, we should take each and look at each one separately, so we can work out something.
Would be the option to refer to traffic group if we so deem, right?
Oh, so the committee, what they
Yeah,
wanna do.
right.
As of
As
right
long as we
now,
have that option.
now that's, so should I put that on as an action, the next meeting to vote on lowering the speed limits then on these G and M? For next meeting? Yeah, okay.
Discussion 23 capital improvement projects.
So for this year's capital projects, we have listed, we put on for, County Road F from On Road out to D. That's 4 miles and that'll be a mill and overlay out there. That's been about. over
It is
50
a rough shape, I cut the
It's-
house lots.
yeah. Yeah, it's been about over 15 years since something's been done out there, so definitely, we've had a lot of calls on it this year. It's in bad shape. Then, double I, 45 to the county line. That was resurfaced when we took the jurisdictional transfer from the state highway. Same thing, it's been over 15 years since.
Was that when it was 50?
Yes, yep. So, or 110, I guess it was 110. So yeah, so that's, it's 6.6 miles out there. So it's a big stretch out that way. So, another section that's in rough. So at Winchester, yep, so where the state salt shed is and then Quick Trip. So from there all the way out to the county line.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's 0 down.
Yeah, yep, yes, yep. And then,
Through Mr. Olson, town of Winchester.
through, yeah, parts of it, yeah, section. And then we had, double J. So obviously last year we paved, CB, that section of CB. This year we constructed the roundabout at CBJJ, brand new. Now this section of JJ will go out to 76. So basically this corridor now, I mean, 76 was redone, double J will be repaved, got the new roundabout, CB's done. So that'll tie all into that whole corridor right there.
Oh, yeah, that does the, yeah.
Yeah, it's, yep, we've replaced the culvert, we've replaced all the culverts, maybe a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago, prior to the roundabout being constructed. So those are all, replaced. So that'd be a mill and overlay. That's, well needed in there. Then, County Road P, asking for that 150,000 to complete the design phase of this project. Right now, we're close to the 60% design stage, that 60% of the project is designed. Next meeting, I'm gonna have Andy Dana from AIRS come in and give you a presentation of where we're at with this project and what this project is gonna entail. There's a lot with that up there. There was a lot of industrial in that area. You know, anytime you get industrial, ground contamination. So there is ground contamination up there.
Is that the cemetery one too?
Yeah, cemetery in there, is in there. So there's a lot going on in this project, so that the old GE property in there. There's gonna be a section in there that's got some contamination. Nothing with alarming. You know, basically it's gonna have to get excavated out and taken to a site. Yeah, it's not gonna be a huge hazmat project. You know, so basically what it is, I mean, the little bit of right of way we need. Obviously, you know, there may be some marked contamination wells in those areas, and that's where we need to be within that limit. So, and when Andy does, he can kind of explain a lot of that to you, kind of, you know, concrete curb and gutter, storm sewer. This project is gonna, over the years, we got a lot of flooding up on P in that area. And then one thing is behind P to the north is, Village of Fox Crossing. Village of Fox Crossing, all that water comes right to P. So we take on a lot of water from them. So what this project is, and this is why that we got funding for this, is because there's City of Menasha, Village of Fox Crossing, Winnebago County, and we're right on the edge of City of Appleton. So the funding with this project, a lot of people are going to benefit from this project. That's why I was chosen to get funding for this. So one thing is the storm sewer and can address a lot of those flooding issues that are happening on the in Fox Crossing. We can address with this. I mean, we're going to have to upsize some culverts and capacity on this, but we're going to try. Everything's going to go into the state detention pond that they have. So when that was built, we already were kind of planning for that. So they oversized it. So we're very fortunate that we didn't have to go out and, you know, add on to that or do anything extra. So we're kind of, this would be a really good project. And I think when it's done, I mean, it's going to do a lot for that area up there.
Large enough to accommodate the anticipated heavy storms.
Right now, that's what we're waiting for is from the Village of Fox Crossing. We're waiting for their design for McMahon to give us that data, how much flow we're going to get to increase our size of capacity on our storm sewer. So, and like I said, I'm going to have Andy come in. He was just going to come in and give me a rundown where we were, and I just thought, I think it'd be better if he came in and let you know exactly where the money that you're putting in there, what it's going to be, and with what's going on with that. So I'll get him to come in and kind of give you a brief little rundown with that.
Are they asking for any money for this?
Yeah, these are capital projects. So I'll be presenting
Engineering.
Yeah, so that $150,000. So that'll complete the engineering
So
for this project.
we already paid for engineering, correct?
Yeah, portions of it, yes.
Yep.
So yeah, and then obviously the final one is the highway department upgrades. Been working with Mike Elder from facilities with this. We've got a pretty good start on proposals with this. I have a kind of a plan to kind of show you. We did, when this building was built, the west wall was the original expansion wall. And what was proposed was to build on the east side, you know, to our parking lot there. We did do a little wetland delineation out here, so we can go out to the west now, expand out on the side. It's like, no, it's not a whole lot, but it's more than you would think. Yes, we can. Yeah, but one thing is, you know, when we built in here, I mean, we have, you know, the ponds are right there. We have wetlands. We have state property behind us. We kind of built right in this little hole. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot with this. I mean, I'm hoping that we can build out on this west side to accommodate our needs for, you know, with our tow plows. And
if I might ask a question at this point, and I'll ask it, chairman here of the county two proposals from administration. One was for like 3 million and the other one was for a project less. Where did that go? They were giving us two options and saying we would take from one, give the other, or whatever. Do you recall
From the county executive desk.
it? Okay, so the county executive is currently looking at two different options.
I don't know if he's looking at it, but it's up there. That's really cool.
You're aware of this?
I mean, I know there's talk with a lot of things, so.
You don't want to elaborate on it?
Well, I mean, I know that there was talk about facilities, possibly relocating, centrally. I mean, there's a lot of talk with the buildings, having a study done with all the buildings in the county, and so, you know.
So what you're presenting to this.
So what
One option that you consider to be the preferred.
So right now, yes, so we have needs here. Our biggest thing are these offices. I mean, the mold in here, you know,
The other option.
this is the, yes, I mean, so I can see this is gonna be in phases. We're not gonna come out, we're not gonna, you know, redo this, everything at once. This is gonna have to be phased in.
What about the water leak? We never addressed it. It's still something still leaking up here.
Yeah, there's, well, our heating and cooling system's obsolete.
Would you like to show up the mold you discovered this morning?
Yeah, it's right behind you.
Right.
Oh, yeah, these,
I'll go look up behind that.
all the walls are full of it. There's
It's
no,
just growing.
there's. I mean, there's no barrier between the brick wall and the inside here, so that moisture sits in there. And then, yeah, I mean, they ripped all this. I mean, yeah, there's mold in all of this. I mean, office staff that has to be in here, I mean, 8 to 10 hours a day. That's our major concern. You know, so right now, the number one concern is this office section. So what we need to do is, I mean, the whole plan of this concept plan that they're coming up with too is that, you know, how do we address, I mean, a conference room? So right now, if we would like, say like the County Road P project, we had a PIM, the public information meeting that you're required to do. We can't have it here because we can't house that. That room up there is not ADA accessible. We can't use the freight elevator to put people in chairs. Right. You can't do that. So, and obviously this, well, they did, they used to, but I mean, you're not supposed to. I mean, they'll tell you right in there, it's not a passenger elevator. So, you know, that's one thing is, I mean, our needs, I mean, we need a bigger conference room and training area for the employees and.
Where do you want to, what's your plan on the new building to go?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is gonna be renovating this and then potentially coming out on this side with office space and the training part.
And then how does that address the mold from behind the other walls?
This gets all gutted. This is all gutted and then they're gonna put vapor barrier.
That's like you go by the new Merrill School, they got part of it, all that foam stuff, that must be what that does, prevents the mold.
So that's the, I mean, the biggest part of this is, I mean, the biggest concerns we have right now is the office part.
I had addressed new, bigger equipment into the facilities out there.
Right, so our tow plows, so a tow plow and a truck right now is about 75 feet long. So right now, we're parking them out in cold storage. Or they get parked in the aisles. So
Focusing and you want to do phase one, you want to be this more immediate issue of that phase two.
well, that's to come. That's what we're gonna work on moving forward. There's no doubt the offices have to be addressed first. I mean, it has to. I mean, the conditions that are in here, whether, I mean, we've talked about this, whether we bring job trailers in, we work out of job trailers while this is going on. I mean, but this is gonna have to be the first phase of this and then move into the needs out there with the equipment. Right now, I mean, yeah, we're getting by, but I mean, this year we just put that second tow plow in operations. So now that's another vehicle with that. So that's what we're looking at, is that how can we house those? It's not like hooking up a trailer where you just pull the pin, unhook it, take the chains off. I mean, there's big hydraulic coupler lines. It's a very tedious process to hook these up. You just don't do it in 5 minutes. So that's why, I mean, if we leave these hooked up, tomorrow night we're gonna spray brine. So those units haul about 2,000 gallons of brine. So we're using those to apply salt brine on the roads. So we're leaving, they're left hooked up. So like I said, we have. Sure.
Well, you're right. Somebody called me and complained they were slaying all over because this was months or two ago. They put brine on the road and they're throwing and everything. Moving the ditches and all over. What else? Your way, I mean, out towards the Rico way. We don't get it on our way.
Bobby, you gotta quit using that slippery brine.
I mean, I'll just tell you that Outagamie, well, it's mixed.
So you didn't have any complaints on that?
Not that I don't remember any coming in. No. The salt brine solution is about 23.3%. Just that it holds soluble.
Still would be a lot slippery with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Outagamie County has brine only routes.
It came from somebody from the city was.
Oh,
My way then.
I mean, if you have, if you have like glare ice on pavement and you spray brine on there, sure, it's gonna, because you don't have, you have to put rock salt.
Something like this sort of town.
Yeah.
Oh,
But I mean, like I said, though, there are routes out there that are brine only. That's the only thing they did. And it's brine only. And they've been, Outagamie's had that route now for maybe 3-4 years now. So there is routes where that's the only thing they're spraying on there. And I haven't heard anything like issues with that, but so that's kind of an update with the capital project. So I think yep. Presentation. Yep.
What are you gonna tell them for this one here with the building?
Well, hopefully I have more information with this. I hope that we can at least sit down and say, what we're gonna work on with this. Like I said, we just met last week, or I think it was last week with the architects with this. She's gonna put more of this together, and then hopefully we get a little more information. Yeah, I wish I.
They will know we're gonna do this, maybe, well, they're all gonna think of the whole, but they're not gonna think about the rest, and now it's gonna have to be going on.
Right.
I wouldn't anyways if I wasn't sitting here.
So I mean, this is the thing is though, is when it comes down to it, I mean, we're not gonna be able to, renovate the offices, renovate out there. I mean, our operation, there's no way we could, keep our operations going. Especially like in the office staff, it'd be pretty tough to, put them in a different department or a different building. And then try to coordinate with all our equipment. And so, I mean, it's gonna have to be in phases. It's just how we phase that out. We just haven't got to that part of it. And unfortunately, I mean, until you get something on paper and that you can present, you kind of, it's very unfortunate that it has to be that way, but
I think we've just established that the tour.
Well, yeah, these all departments are fine for all their different projects. But I think this would be a priority.
But I agree with Don said, anyone that come in the day of that tour, I think they're all on board.
But it wouldn't hurt to reestablish that this is a safety hazard.
Sure. Well, we get into debate on the floor, and the administration juggling stuff. Perhaps we need to bear in mind priority.
yeah, hopefully, like I said, hopefully hear a little more information by the time to present this. But yeah, I'll do my best to emphasize that, so yeah. All right, right.
General operation.
So, we, sent out 3 offer letters, for, EO1s this week. They should be starting within the next 2 weeks here. So as of right now, with those 3 coming back on, we should be 2 positions short, but we do have 1 retirement coming in February. So I'm just gonna say we're 3 right now. So hopefully, I mean, we made some pretty good strides here. We got some really good, employees, these last couple rounds. So, yeah, it was, glad we could work with HR and kind of get this pushed through. They helped us out a lot with these last 3. So yeah, so I think we're heading in the right direction with that. Like I said, we got 1, an operator 2 that'll be leaving in February.
Did you get him to wait so long? I had to retire at the beginning of winter, so that's all happened.
With the rest of the group.
There's, I mean, obviously, I mean, we've had our meetings and we've worked on a lot internally. And I think right now, I mean, the biggest thing is gonna be this rate study. You know, tomorrow night is gonna be you know, the presentation, moving forward. It's gonna be one of the biggest things for us. And, does it cure everything? I don't think so. But I hope it helps morale.
So you think pay is the biggest morale issue?
I think so. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. You know, longevity, you know, how many people, you know, people that have been here, you know, don't get anything for longevity. You know, one thing too, I mean, with the merit pay, you know, cost of living and the merit pay together, I think should be separated, to be fair to everyone. So, I mean, I think there's a lot, but I think everybody's moving in the right direction. And I think this next year, I think, you know, looking at the benefits as a whole, you know, department here, I mean, every day we're trying to make strides. I mean, we keep hearing, you know, the communication part, you know, equipment. We just, one of our trucks just came into quality, the chassis the other day. It's going for winter equipment. So that's a big plus. We're starting to see, trucks coming in. One thing too, that roller that we're purchasing from Door County. So we've had it here all summer using, we're the only ones that ever used it. So I was just talking to the commissioner there, Thad, and Thad just said, you know, whatever we use this year, the hours, they're just gonna take off. They're not gonna charge us for it. They're just gonna take it off the bill. So, which is good. So we'll be able to get that, purchase on that. So yeah, I mean, you know, the menu board, I think should get people out for that. I think that's gonna be a big plus, you know, to help out the guys, know what they're doing every day. So yeah, I mean, we've done a lot internally, I think, that have, you know, made some good strides with it. So we just hope that, this is the next thing. I think it's either gonna, you know, calm things down or rile it back up.
With that board, is it gonna be like a parade coming out of here?
No, I think like I mentioned before, is the big thing for us is this, like on our big projects, like seal coating, paving. So if our paving crews out, we may have 15 to 20 trucks just hauling asphalt. So when the supervisors go give orders to those, so instead of talking to every single person, you know, hey, Dave, you're going to take this truck to Larson and haul asphalt for this crew. Ralph, you know, now they can go in there and they're looking, they're like, oh, that's 15 people that can just go get in their truck and start and go.
Right.
So now we only have to, you know, talk to the foreman.
My question is,
so
there's gonna be a big line of 15 trucks leaving here and then they're gonna be waiting in line for their asphalt.
I mean, that's the way it is any day. I mean, depending on when they get out of here, I mean, they do their truck checks. So, I mean, once they do their pre-trip inspection, they head out. Typically what happens is, I mean, when the paver gets out, until they're ready, till the tack truck gets heated up and can spray, there's a little bit of delay in there, but the trucks, once they get there, they get their line, and it might be the first 5 or 6 trucks load. And then there might be a little lull, then the next ones come in. But the biggest thing is that we can just get the guys out to do their pre-trips and get them out on the road.
Do we have private sector trucks that work in there with you?
We usually can't get them anymore. They don't exist. They only haul for Northeast. So it's virtually impossible to get private haulers. So yeah. So I mean, like I said, it's a big thing too, is we got one truck that came in and got delivered. They thought maybe a next one was coming in here shortly. So we'll have 2 trucks that were be delivered here shortly and start getting their winter equipment, the box and the wings and plows hooked up. So yeah. Yeah, we've been cutting a lot of brush, and we did have some big breakdowns again. We had I think 2 trucks, we had their rear ends go out in them. Yeah, just the 3 things. I've never seen those before. So those were big ones that we actually had time to get the parts and get them back on the road. So it helped us a lot as far as maintenance and getting the equipment out. But we're fully staffed with our mechanics now, which is yeah, they're pumping out a lot of work out of that shop now. So yeah, that's about all I had. Any questions?
I had some people ask me, how come there's not as much snow fence out this year as what there had been in the past?
I'm assuming that whatever we put out in the past, because we have it all on GIS, I'm assuming that everything is out.
That was more than one person the other night that they don't have it here like they used to. Or nice, well, maybe the poles got up and they don't get it out. But it's more, sure, it's not even a post area on.
I can find out.
The other thing, you were always looking for trucks. Did you ever try that Cagney Ford, Princeton? He's got a lot of not just pickups, the smaller trucks like you look for like somewhere in that.
Yeah, and that's one thing too, is that we're gonna, we did get a letter from Ford. Based upon our past buying, they limit us to 1 vehicle. So when it comes down to it is, I mean, if we're looking for a F-250, 350, 450, 550, whatever, we'll get 1, but they're not gonna tell what we're gonna get. So with that being said, yeah, we're gonna have to look at if there's vehicles that are on the lot. We're definitely gonna have to.
On the lot, you still get the state price?
Well, that's something we're gonna have to look at, and typically don't. What sticker is, that's what you end up paying. So that's the hard part is that, you know, I mean, we get like 2 quality truck, you know, like they did that last year. They called and they said, hey, we've got a truck. You guys want it? You know, and we're like, well, he goes, well, I need to know by the end of the day today. We call back at the end of the day and they're like, it's already sold. So we heard that from quality again this year. They said, hey, we may have 2 or 3 trucks that the purchaser may back out. Would you guys be interested? But one thing is that, you know, for us to come in there, I mean, it's not a real easy task to come in and say, hey, now get the funding for, you know, 2 or 3 trucks. So that's what we got to start working out is like some sort of mechanism that, you know, if a situation does come up like that we can go purchase that. And then, you know, so they come up but we just got to find out a mechanism how we can make those purchases without going through.
We don't have it on the agenda, so we can't really make a motion or anything on it, but I think that there should be a way that we should go ahead to let these guys, if the truck comes up, that they should be able to go ahead and get it before it gets run. That's what's happening. We have trucks come up, boom, they're gone, and they would say, oh, but I was having to go through all this. You know, and I know Dave, you said, being after there, like, when you do 2 one, and by the time it goes through there, you're looking at 3 months down the road, but then we're back on board, and you know,
What a big thing is, how much do you have in reserves?
Well, that, I mean, that's something we can look at too. I mean, if we have what we have internally, but, you know, one thing is like on these projects, you know, culverts, we get 5 days for a quote. So you got 5 days, after 5 days, the price is no good. So any of these projects that we get pricing, I mean, they're every day they're going through the roof. And it's hard to, you know, to get a estimate. I mean, I know some of the townships were like, can we get an estimate on, you know, this? We don't even know what asphalt prices are. They're telling us they're going up 30 to 40%. Concrete's going up the same, but we don't.
This coming spring?
Yeah. So, no, I mean, nobody has any rhyme or reason of why it is, but we haven't had any of our quotes go out yet. So that's the hard thing is, I mean, you know, to say, hey, we do have this amount, but if we do have increases, well, our truck, the one truck we just got, there was a $10,300 surcharge. So it's a surcharge on it. So whatever our quote was, it's an additional 10,300. So, and if you don't pay it, you don't get the truck. So there you go. That's 10,000. That's just one truck. So our next truck, I'm assuming it's going to be 10,300 again. So that's, you know, almost $21,000 right there that we didn't anticipate. You know, so whatever funds we have gets chewed up real quick. I mean, the truck 99 that we needed the new motor, original prices were around 40 to 50,000. End up coming in at 60,000. You know, and that's the thing is, you know, yeah, if we have anything, that's where it's getting spent is on unforeseen like that. So.
Chairman, I'd like to have that put on the agenda for next time. We can discuss that and possible action of that, you know, how we can go around about that.
You're gonna look into statutory requirement.
In a way, you could have. You decide, yeah, truck with that. Authorize someone to be able to pick it out right now by the truck. It's, now it's happening so fast. People get a car.
Next meeting, Dave.
You show February 20th, if that works.
February 20th.
Monday in the month.
Communication, I want to adjourn. Move in second, to adjourn.
I'm gonna